Warm good morning to everyone. So today is my last day in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. So there are a couple of things I want to cover. The heat and, to be honest with you, the coronavirus. So firstly, let's tackle the heat. Now, I mentioned in one of my earlier videos or scenes that, March was lovely, walking through Al-Dar'iyya, was nice. But the thing is, the heat crept up on me and I actually ended up with heat exhaustion. It was the day before yesterday, so after I'd been in the country for about 4 days, maybe 3 days, I began to feel warm, like almost all the time, as if I had a fever. And then I got a massive splitting headache, and I recognized this from Jordan as heat exhaustion. So I drank as much water as possible. I got out of the sun, I went to a mall, and I also purchased sort of dehydration powder, which basically means that it restores electrolytes. It's like, having 2 bottles of water instead of 1 when you mix the powder in. This is something to bear in mind because a lot of the attractions you'll visit in Saudi, and certainly in Riyadh, that are landmarks, they are outside. And that's a problem because if you're outside for 3 hours in the sun, you won't feel it immediately, but the heat will creep up on you and it will hit you. It will hit you hard, so be very, very careful. The next thing I want to tackle is the coronavirus. Now, Saudi Arabia, as of 2020, so as of late March 2020, has about 50 cases across the kingdom. And I noticed, for example, now we'll see when I travel tomorrow what it's like because the airports are meant to be almost empty. We'll see. On top of that, I wanted to go to a shisha bar to try shisha, which is a typical tobacco you'll find in the Middle East. And I was informed that those cafes have been closed because of the coronavirus. So I think that's also worth mentioning as well. And the Saudi authorities are taking coronavirus very seriously. They're clamping down on a variety of things anywhere where there's crowds. So for example, about 3 days into my trip, schools were closed across the kingdom as a preventative measure to just minimize contact with people. So the other thing I wanted to show you all is sort of some of the measures that I have experienced or witnessed regarding the coronavirus. So firstly, when you're about to land in Saudi Arabia, you will be given on the plane a health declaration form. This is a copy I have on my laptop. It looks like this for entering the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. It then says, please check answers that apply. So, for example, were you in any contact with a person who has been diagnosed with the novel coronavirus, COVID-19, yes or no? Then it says, have you visited any of the below countries in the past 14 days? So here we have a list, and it includes transit flights. So China, Italy, Iraq, Malaysia, Iran, Japan, Afghanistan, Lebanon, South Korea, also Singapore, India, Pakistan, or any other country that might have now been exposed to the coronavirus. It says, please mention. It then says, hand this application to the passport officer, which of course I did upon arrival. I recall that when I arrived, before we got to passport control, there was a queue, which you enter for arrival, and they were taking people's temperatures using these thermometers where you don't have to make contact with people. They then checked our passports and they asked, have you traveled anywhere in the past 14 days? Yes or no? And of course, if yes, you would then be asked, which countries. So this form is taken seriously, and the fact that Saudi has taken these measures quite quickly shows that they are taking the coronavirus quite seriously as well. I also wanted to show you one of the things I saw at Riyadh Gallery Mall. So the campaign regarding the coronavirus. Here we have a poster that basically says something along the lines of, cover your nose and mouth when you sneeze. Again, to tackle corona. And to the right, another poster that appeared discussing, I think, contact with people as well. So, being careful with direct contact. Perhaps also the idea of using masks. So they have a campaign here which is not just wash your hands, which is I think how Britain's doing it. They're also talking about what else can you do. Sneezing and coughing are main ways of transmitting the coronavirus and any other virus for that matter. So contact with people for 15 minutes or more is an issue. So here, these are two campaigns that I found while in Saudi Arabia, in Riyadh, regarding the coronavirus. And tomorrow's trip back to London will be, I think, most interesting. Yeah. very interesting. And we'll just have to see what happens. So this is live from Mecca on Friday, a day of prayer, and you see some people are wearing face masks because of the coronavirus. Okay, so this is the Friday prayer from Mecca al-Mukarramah. This is from Mecca. Remember that, ladies and gentlemen. Now, look at the number of people, i.e. not a lot. Mecca should be crowded. It should be crowded, and it's not. And this is probably because of the coronavirus, I can only imagine. You know, earlier on this channel, there was footage of the Kaaba, and it was virtually deserted, like literally 7 to 10 people. So we can see that the coronavirus is being taken seriously. And, you know, anywhere that is popular, where there can be crowds and direct contact with a lot of people, including places of worship, those places are seeing far fewer numbers now than they would have a week ago. You see, even here, there's crowds, but there should be more. There's gaps, there's spaces within the mosque, Masjid al-Haram, it's called, I believe. So, yeah. Again, a lot of empty space here. You know, this is the day of prayer, Yom al-Jumu'ah, Friday in Mecca. The holy city should be packed, and you see, you know, it's quite empty. Here you can just about make out the Kaaba, and of course, you know, it should be packed, but it's not. There's what I can literally make out 1 or 2 people here. Again, this goes to show the effect the coronavirus is having on Saudi Arabia and the measures they are taking to minimize disruption, to minimize the risk of infection as well.